Welcome everybody to our webinar, Marketing Ideas Lightning Round. My name is Joel Goldstein. I'm the founder and president of Goldstein Group. We're a B2B agency, and as many of you know, and quite frankly, it's fun working at an agency because we consider ourselves an ideas factory. We look at great ideas and suggestions that we try for one client, and if it works well, we can bring it to another client, and it really puts us in a wonderful position to take best practices and share that with our friends and clients, and we are we appreciate the opportunity to do that with you today. GGC is a 30-year-old agency. We focus on B2B companies, a lot of manufacturing companies. Most of our clients have some degree of technical or engineered content to them, and most of our clients we're working with helping them through the complex sale, the buyer's journey that involves an innovative new product, switching out a new product, changing a process at in an industry. Those are the types of companies that we typically work with. We're building for them what we can describe as a lead generation machine. You can think of it as a flywheel. This is a picture of the flywheel that we build. We create content that is unique and comparative and compelling. That drives our search engine rankings higher, which pushes people to our client websites, which then are optimized to convert those people into a lead or an opportunity. All of that is built on a tech platform that measures ROI and performance, and that flywheel just moves faster and faster as we generate more content, better search, better web. That's the marketing machine that we're building. It's important to think about that machine in the context of what's going on today with B2B marketing. There are a lot of changes that are taking place, and it's our job to not only come up with these idea factory suggestions for clients, but to apply that to the context of what's going on. Well, so some of the things that we see are that people prefer to go to websites that give them instant answers. I'll also give you a little bit of a sneak preview. On March 5th, we're doing another webinar based on some research findings that our friends and partners at EE Tech have created, and we're co-presenting that. And one of the insights from that webinar that you'll hear is that your website, manufacturers' websites, are the number one place to go for that buyers and prospects go for information. Number one. What did that replace, by the way? That replaced Google. So we'll talk a lot about that and what that means for you. What that means for you is that your website is the number one place. It's the front door for marketing for your company's products and services, and it has to be pretty darn good. It also has to provide support and service to a customer in a way that helps them avoid talking to a salesperson. In a lot of ways, I'm a salesperson myself. It's hard to say that, hard to hear that, but people don't want to talk to a salesperson. They want to find the information that they need to move them along that buyer's journey. And if they could do it without talking to somebody, the more the better. In fact, selling has never been more difficult in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it's easier, but it's tough to reach people today. And we all know that. One study showed that it takes 18 attempts to reach somebody on the phone. So if you're not going to be able to reach them via prospecting or digital marketing campaigns, the ideas that we're going to talk about today, they really have to be spot on. And they really have to engage somebody and get them in, because you're going to find that it's much more difficult to sell them with traditional selling. And as a matter of fact, people are describing that as something called pipeline plateau. Every company has a sales and marketing funnel, and it is getting harder and harder to make that sales and marketing funnel bigger and to make people move through that funnel more quickly and less costly. So we have to use technology in ways that are going to do that. We tell our clients that in many ways, everybody's building a website, everybody's building a landing page, everybody's doing search. So if we really want competitive advantage, that lies at the intersection of marketing and technology. And when we can use those two things and combine them, we see a tremendous boost in competitive advantage. Let's talk about the key metrics that we look at for how we judge whether a digital marketing campaign is effective. And then we're going to get right into our lightning round of 28 ideas. 2% of all visits to your website should convert to a name. 10% of the leads that go in the top of that funnel should convert to an opportunity. And the last is the 5 to 1. For every dollar you spend on marketing, at least $5 should come back to you in revenue, not clicks and leads, but actual revenue. Those are the three uber metrics that you can look at to determine whether your marketing campaigns, your digital campaigns are really working as effectively as they should. So let's talk about our agenda for today. We're going to look at 4 key areas for our KPIs. This is the best time of the year to look at KPIs, ideas for improving KPIs. Many of us are staring at some numbers that we've set for ourselves. How many leads are we going to generate? How many quotes? How much revenue? Some of those numbers are pretty big, and you're wondering, well, how the hell am I going to do that? Hopefully today you'll be able to take some ideas back and implement them right away to put you on a good path to achieving those 2025 growth plans and KPIs. So we'll talk about web engagement, conversion rate optimization, and user experience, how to get to that 2% number. We'll talk about content ideas. We'll talk about search ideas. And of course, you can't go to any conference today, any meeting today without someone talking about AI. We've got a few AI suggestions that we'll talk to you about today as well. We're going to leave you with also 3 new ideas that we're testing. So these 28 are proven, but we're going to throw in 3 little bonuses of some things that we're trying out that are new for us. And I'm going to start off with one of those new ideas. This is our stay tuned number 1. Stay tuned in that we're trying this idea out, and we'll let you know how it's working. So many of us use tools like HubSpot, ZoomInfo, Clearbit, Lead Forensics, Leadlander. There's just a lot of tools out there that will all tell us the domain of somebody visiting our website. Somebody from Acme Manufacturing visited our website, but that's good. But if I'm really looking for meetings and opportunities and sales qualified leads, I need to know who that person was. And just somebody from Acme Manufacturing, if Acme is a big company, if you're telling me somebody from Raytheon or RTX visited my site, not very helpful. This new tool called RB2B, RB, the number 2 and B. We're in our 2nd month trialing that. It does tell us the name of the person who visited our site, the email address of that person, and the page that they visited. Pretty amazing stuff. We are trialing it with 5 different companies. One of those companies has had it in their first month. They got 2 quote requests as a result of immediate outreach. We all know why immediate outreach is important. If you reach out to somebody within 5 minutes of them filling out a form or making a phone call to you, or in this case, visiting your website, your odds of reaching that person and engaging that person are much higher, in the 90%. If you wait 30 minutes, that afternoon, the next day, your odds of reaching that person just go down to single digits. So this is something that we're testing, and we're anxious to see how it goes, and we'll be sure to share that with people if it proves out. Let's start looking at web engagement ideas. I'm going to actually go through these pretty quickly because they're all very simple. This is kind of our toolbox, our arrows in the quiver of what we almost always do to get our clients to that 2% conversion rate. 2% of visitors should convert to a name. So I'll buzz through these quickly. One is the Ask a Question button that's up here in the upper right that we put for one of our clients. It was very engaging. It's had a dramatic effect for these guys, and we've been deploying that on others. Again, we're looking for ways that people can reach out and quickly engage and quickly get their answer. I'll show you several of those, but this Ask a Question button was one of our greatest hits. Side flags, you can see on the side for quote or contact or catalog. We typically do that and see tremendous results from that. I find that very frustrating because I've got it in the upper nav. Why do I also have to have it on the side? I don't know why, but for whatever reason, people do see those side flags. They stay there on every page. People click on them more, and we get incremental lead flow just because we put those side flags there. For many of our clients, we put a footer form we put a lead form in the footer. Again, there's a contact us in the upper right of our navigation, but for whatever reason, we have a lot of people filling out that additional footer form. We typically put quote forms in as many places as possible on our client websites. Again, it is an additional quote form. They can get to a quote form in the navigation, but we found that we increase our lead flow, we increase our quote flow when we put them on product pages and everywhere else that we can think of. We actually did this for one of our clients, and the number of quotes they got increased by 3x. So we thought that's a very critical element for driving lead flow and quote flow. We're embedding email prompt fields in our chat tools. So the first field that you need to fill out is what's your email address. We're finding that that's engaging people. They fill it out, and it allows us to continue the dialogue with somebody after the chat is over. We do a lot of exit interrupt forms that we put on our websites. We tailor them so that they're relevant to the page, to the visit. If somebody's visiting a particular page about a pump or a chemical, we have white papers and blogs that we offer as assets. We put a lead form there for them to fill out, name and email, and that improves our engagement on these pop-up forms. We also made sure that for many of our clients, particularly those that are a little bit simpler in what they're selling, we made sure that we had product information at the top of the page on critical pages of the site. That was a big change for us. We had a lot of tutorial information at the top of some of these client pages. We found lead flow dramatically increased when we flipped that around and put the tutorial below the product buttons. People engage easily and quickly with buttons, and it worked out very well for this company in particular. We're also putting lead forms at the top of many of our offer pages and our landing pages and our asset pages, particularly our page search landing pages. We find that increases our lead flow that way. And then last, many people have blogs, and they get a lot of traffic, but we can see that for many companies, when we start working with them, man, you're getting a lot of traffic, but you are just not converting into names on those. So we've begun including more engagement devices more visibly on our blog. So we'll include big asset CTAs, we'll include related topics and recent posts that are dynamically generated to relate to the topic of the blog at hand. And again, we've seen our lead flow increase. Last, web tool engagement for those of you who have CAD files where your CAD drawings are part of the purchase process. People need to see the CAD file to spec it into whatever system they might be building as a customer or prospect. So we've been putting CAD files that are downloadable on client websites. We've been gating them behind a landing page, and that's just been tremendous for us. The reason is, obviously, if somebody's downloading a CAD file, they have an active project, they have a critical need, it's relatively current, they've got a project that they're working on right now, and typically they have buying authority. So these CAD file download tools really are very, very effective for us. Okay, again, if you have a question, stick it in chat. I'll get to it as we go. Let's talk about content that drives search and that drives brand preference at the same time, thought leadership. So I mentioned earlier that many of our clients deal with something called the complex sale. And many of us think of the sales and marketing funnel kind of in an older way, a linear way, right? You put a lead at the top of the funnel and it just naturally and logically flows down that funnel to become an early stage lead, to a qualified lead, to a sales ready lead, to a quote, to an opportunity to a customer, whatever your stages are. But we've learned over time, many people have studied this over time, that today that sales and marketing funnel is anything but organized. It's anything but linear. Actually, a consulting firm called Goldstein Group mapped out the buyer's journey for the complex sale. And they said it looks like this. This is anything but smooth and linear. This is a buyer's process that is characterized by stops and starts. It might have 2 people at the beginning and 8 people in the middle and 2 people at the end. And some of those people can be the same, some of them can be different. But you can see that as you move from problem identification to solution exploration to requirements building to supplier selection, there's a lot of steps along the way. It's not linear, it's messy. And in fact, if you think about all the different places where digital marketing has to be relevant, has to be visible, has to be present, it's not just at the beginning, it's all the way through. And so as we move people from awareness to preference through that long, convoluted, messy buyer's journey, digital marketing and our content has to come up at exactly the right ways with exactly the right tutorial content information in ways that will help them make that decision. Much of the content that we found when we're looking for a formula, that content has to be, as I mentioned, tutorial in nature, comparative in nature. Don't tell me what you do, tell me what you do better. And that's the type of content that we find for our manufacturing clients, for our technical clients, the technical buyer and the business buyer. They're looking for that information of tell me how this is better. So one of the things that we do is we look at our content in kind of a tree, a syndication tree. We look for ways to repurpose our content. And we'll typically start with what they call a mother document, something that's a long form piece of content, a handbook, a webinar, something that's typically 2,000, 3,000 words long. And we use that as our platform for all different types of content spinoffs. So that webinar actually becomes a video, several videos. It becomes a white paper, an ebook, several blog posts, social media posts, emails, PR articles. It becomes a lot of different ways that we can repurpose that content and be efficient about the content that we're generating. So these mother documents are really very, very critical for our content plans for as we go forward. One of the other things that we're doing is many of you have probably heard of a content cluster. So the way to get ranked highly is not just to have a blog, a webinar, a white paper, but to have a cluster of content around a topic and have that content link to each other. Well, what do you write about? Fortunately, Google tells us exactly what to write about. We're using a variety of tools from Google. We look at their People Also Ask. We look at Google Search Console, which tells us what people search on. And we're using this new tool. This is a software tool that we subscribe to at the agency called Demand Jump. We make these reports available to our clients. But this tells us how to build a content cluster, what people are searching for, and how to get people into our search engine rankings onto our website, because this is what they need to find information about. It's a great tool. It's called Demand Jump. We're using it more and more, and it's a great content roadmap that tells us what we need to write. We don't want to just write things to keep ourselves busy. This is all about outcomes, not just activity. This gives us the right roadmap to point us to get the right outcomes for us. As I mentioned before, we do a lot of webinars. Webinars are a core deliverable for what we do, for what a lot of clients do in their content lead generation programs. We do a lot of these webinars and we do newsletters. On LinkedIn, we get a tremendous response to those. We just did a webinar yesterday for one of our clients. It was very well attended, and within half an hour, they even got a product quote in, which is a nice little story to tell. But we do find these webinars very, very effective. We do them on LinkedIn, but we also encourage clients to do them together with media partners. I mentioned we do a lot of webinars early. I mentioned them earlier. We do a lot of webinars with them. And the reason is that we can do a webinar on our own and invite a few thousand people within our own audience. When we do it together with a media partner like that, they bring us the audience, they bring us new contacts, they introduce us to people. It's really a very effective way to take that content, the effort that we go into producing in a webinar, and dramatically expand its reach and audience. We're also building for clients a lot of resource centers, filterable resource centers. When I mentioned earlier on that people want to come to your website and get the answers they need on their own without talking to a salesperson, we find these resource centers are really very effective for doing that. As a matter of fact, we created one for a client, and you can filter them by industry, by media type. And they work so well. This one client had a 120% increase in lead conversion when you compared before and after. So really a very, very effective technique, particularly for companies that do have a lot of content that they're using to reach both the technical and the business buyer. I've got a link here for one that you can see and play with, and we find that it's a valid technique. Everybody likes videos, and we are trying to create as many videos as possible for our clients. We're using chat to accelerate our script writing. We're using Synthesia avatars to accelerate our video production. We think that these AI tools are going to help us create more and more of the 3-minute videos, the 30-second videos, the longer videos that we need. So animations and webinars and even whiteboard videos, a technique that's been around for a long time, that those are really very effective for us to do. I do have an item on here called Zoom testimonial videos. This is one of the best outcomes that the pandemic has left us with. People during the pandemic got very used to spending a lot of time on Zoom calls. So our ability to reach people, reach customers and stick them on a Zoom call and hit record and turn that into a testimonial, a Zoom testimonial, that got much, much easier. So we encourage our clients to reach out to their customers and ask them if we can talk to them and interview them about their applications, and those turn into fabulous and persuasive testimonial videos for our clients. What kind of content really works for the technical buyer? The engineers are a busy audience. They don't like marketing fluff. They like information that is comparative, as I mentioned earlier. Don't tell me what you do, tell me what you do better. So we're looking for creating all types of content that we can use that is tutorial in nature. And then we're careful about innovation. We're careful about talking about we're the first one to do this. You should use the product. It's a front edge, bleeding edge, innovative product. That's always exciting to talk about. But the fact is that a lot of engineers, a lot of the technical buyers, they want somebody else to try it first. So we always want to be careful about leading too heavily, too aggressively with that innovation message. You see a picture of one of our client products here. As much as possible, we use engineering callouts, animated callouts, labeled callouts. So engineers love that in their designs. And again, that helps us provide these instant answers to salespeople, to visitors without talking to a salesperson. And then last, in the content section, for many of our clients, we are not just looking at generating leads, we're looking at generating meetings. What can we do to skip ahead a few places on that buyer's journey and get somebody to raise their hand and say that they're ready for a meeting right now? Well, including calendar links in your email signatures, that's been around for a while, but for one client, we aggressively use these meeting links in their social media posts, on their website, on their contact us page, on their RFQ page. And we found one of their inside salespeople, we keep him busy all day long just with this meeting link. He's got 5, 6, 8 meetings a day just because of this meeting link. So again, generating leads are great, but none of us are really after leads. We're after opportunities and quotes and meetings with prospects. And this is a great shortcut for doing that. Okay, let's talk about how we win the battle for search. I will tell you that in digital marketing these days, one of the biggest questions that we get from clients is, Google has really changed the game with AI search answers at the top of the page. We went to the recent HubSpot conference in September this year. One of the speakers there said that change is so transformative that he expects organic search from Google to decline by 20 to 25% coming up. And I think that's really pretty amazing. I also think that's why that EE Tech study I mentioned earlier mentioned that the manufacturer website is the #1 place people are going, and it's overtaken Google. But anyway, we do see that these AI searches are really the name of the game for how to get people to your site. So, excuse me. So if I want to be included in this, this is an example for how we have to look at search today in a very holistic way. It's not just being in the 1 to 3 position organically, but I've got to be included somehow in this organic search. This is an example for one of our clients. The money term for them was NEVI compliant chargers. What can we do? Well, we wrote content that was really very aggressive and compelling, and Google listed it here as one of the related items in the search. They listed our client here in the snippet. We're the #1 position in real estate and paid search. We're the #1 position in image search. In video search, we're #1. So again, look at how far down the page the #1 position is organically. We're ranked there as well, but there's a lot of noise that we have to conquer above that, and that's really what we're looking to do with search today. So how do we do that? Well, I mentioned those people also ask questions here. If you look here, you can see, these are examples of people also ask. Google is telling us what people search on relating to our terms that we can answer. So what we do is we answer those questions. We don't put them on single FAQ pages anymore. We've discovered that if we put them on individual pages throughout our client sites, on their product pages, on their blogs, that helps our search rankings improve more dramatically than just doing a single FAQ page. That also gives us a lot more internal link potential, so we can create more of those content clusters. There's schema programming that Google provides that is optimized for FAQ. So these people also asks are really very effective for securing these snippets and these AI pieces of content. Of course, getting the ad message right is critical for any type of paid search campaign. It is easy to blow through a lot of money in paid search. We do spend a lot of time and effort on negative keywords, on filtering out B2C keywords with our search programs. These are just some stats that show how effective it was once we dramatically improved a paid search program over what a client brought to us when we first started working with them. We almost doubled their click-through rate. We dramatically increased their leads. So it goes without saying, keyword messaging, ad messaging has always been critically important, but you can see in some of the numbers here that it goes right back to the heart of how you can improve your paid search lead flow. One of the other tools that we do is we all understand that link building is really very important, but man, it is time consuming. It doesn't pay off right away. We actually have another technology tool that we use that does high domain authority link recruiting, only 5 to 6 per month. But we found really dramatic increases in ranking, traffic, domain authority, and leads just by using this tool. You can see we did 3 tests before and after. With this client, their traffic went up 20% overall and 682% on just these 2 target pages. Similar increases for this client in traffic, domain authority, rankings, and lead flow and sales qualified leads. Same thing for this client, domain authority, everything went up. So the importance of backlink recruiting is critical. We all know that. This tool has been dramatic technology improvement for us in helping to drive those. One of the other things that we're doing is programmatic ads that are geo-targeted to trade shows. That's an old idea, right? Everybody's been doing that. Everybody's heard of that. But this tool, it's called Draco. They actually have a very clever algorithm that has made those far more effective. We call them follow me home ads. So in other words, we can get an ad on every device inside a trade show hall, and that's great. But we not only can get our ad on that person's device, but we can get our ad on everybody else at that person's domain. That's wonderful. Remember what I said earlier about the complex sale and how many people are involved. You've got a lot of people involved in a purchase decision that may not be going to the show. We still can reach them. And it also will go to all of the people who went to that show at the prior year. So again, very targeted, really aggressive, really effective. And then the ads will follow them home after the show. After they leave that geo-targeted building, we're still serving them ads for a month or 2 afterwards. So What we find is that with this kind of a program, for a very, very low cost per thousand of about $6 per thousand, we're able to serve up almost 800,000, a million impressions, 800 clicks over to the client site. Really a very aggressive and inexpensive and targeted paid search ad campaign buy. Last thing I'll tell you for this sector, this is another one of our stay tuned ideas that we're testing. It's called Google Lead Forms. We began using them about 3-4 months ago. They are proven to dramatically increase the number of paid search leads we get. They are very effective for increasing the number of leads, and as a result, just driving down the cost per lead to very, very low levels. The reason I say this is unproven is while it's increasing our lead flow from paid search and our metrics on cost per lead, it's a little bit early in the game for us to point back to ROI on it. Are these good quality leads? We're seeing some of them as sales qualified leads. We're seeing some of them convert to quotes, but I don't have a real good handle on that yet because it's just so new out of the gate. So stay tuned. We'll come back to you with results on idea number 3. I mentioned you can't go to a meeting without talking about AI, and we're the same. I'm going to show you some things that we're doing to use AI to drive our KPIs. One of the things that we're doing that's really very effective, I heard this at the Marketing AI conference late last year, is grab the HTML code for your site, compare that to HTML code for another site, and ask chat in the prompt very effectively, simply, why does this page outrank me? You're going to be able to find the answers to that very simply, very easily. It's a nice quick AI prompt. Another thing that we're doing is we're using AI to read our client websites with a fresh set of eyes, if you will. And the reason is that we're all so close to our client websites. We live it, we breathe it. We're just embedded in it. Our clients are embedded in it. Nobody can look at a client website with a fresh set of eyes. Well, AI can. So we can program a prompt in there to evaluate a website, compare it to different client competitors. We give it certain paid points, and we ask it, just tell us how well we're doing at getting our key marketing messages across. Because we might think we're doing a great job. But if AI reads our website and says, boy, you know what, other competitors of yours are doing a much better job on innovation, on service, on some other type of message that you're trying to get across, well, then what you can do is use that as a roadmap for content to write to fix that. We've launched a series of answer bots for our clients, and we love them. Again, going back to the tool, the concept of how can I get an answer to a client instantly? We're using custom GPTs that are walled off. And what I mean by that is that it has all of the content that we load in it from the website and our data sheets and other internal documents. But it walls it off and doesn't ingest it like ChatGPT does and shares it to everybody in the internet. But so the end result is a very, very accurate, no hallucinations answer bot where I can just ask anything that I want, and I'm getting really good instant answers from these answer bot tools. Very effective, very popular, very, very easy to create. We're also building what we call a sales builder bot. We're taking data that is our lead database, connecting it with our CRM database, and when possible, connecting it to an ERP order database. So for example, we're taking part on Salesforce and an ERP, or HubSpot and Salesforce and an ERP, and we're connecting it all into a data lake that is integrated so that I can get answers. There's nothing new about that. There's nothing AI about that. But what we're excited about doing is if I create that data lake, if I create that central database, that's really great. But if I want to get some data from it, I'm not a Salesforce program. So I have to go to my Salesforce admin and ask it a question. And I don't know about you, but when I see a set of data, well, I've got 2 or 3 follow-up questions. I have to go back to my Salesforce admin and wait a day or 2 to get those answers back. Wouldn't it be great if I could just go to that database and type in whatever questions I want? How many opportunities did I get from paid search last year? What industries were those in? which trade show worked the best, which paid search ad campaign worked the best. So now I can start to use AI in a chat prompt environment that is so instant, so compelling, so simple. My client CEOs can use this tool. And so now I'm taking all this data and putting it right in their hands to get that information. And I'm using AI to do that. I've got a demo button here that shows you how that works in case you'd like to see more about that. I mentioned earlier on that it takes 18 attempts to reach somebody on the phone. Can AI help with that? I don't know, maybe. And that's our stay tuned idea number 3. There are AI avatars that do sales prospecting. And I personally find this fascinating. The reason is if I come back from a trade show and I give a sales team 500 leads and ask them to follow up on it, if I give them a list of a few thousand leads that have kind of gone cold and dark and ask them to reinvigorate them, we all know what's going to happen. They are not going to get called. And the reason is that it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. As a salesperson, I don't really get paid that well for making those types of calls. There's a low propensity to turn into anything. Salespeople just don't like doing it. Well, if I can give those same calls to an avatar and have the avatar make those calls, then I can all of a sudden have I can generate more meetings with that avatar system. We actually have this test underway. We have programmed the avatar. It's not our tool. It's a tool that we've contracted with a company that offers this service. They've built us the sales avatar. We're just about ready to give them the names to begin prospecting. I asked them a couple interesting questions. I said, well, if I give you 4,000 names, how many are you going to get to? And he said, all of them. And I said, well, how could that be? Well, we'll get to all of them because the avatar doesn't get tired. It doesn't get discouraged. It doesn't quit. That's pretty interesting. I tried the avatar that they programmed during our testing process, and it's really interesting. You can tell it's an avatar. There's a very slight delay. But if you begin your conversation with the prompt, is this the first time you've spoken to an avatar? You're telling the prospect what's going on. And that's okay. Now the avatar can begin having a conversation. It can begin doing the qualification. It can begin trying to set a meeting. It asked me what industry I was in, and I said chocolate processing, and the avatar comes back and says, oh, that sounds delicious. So you're actually able to have a conversation with this avatar. The purpose of the call is to set a meeting. It will set that meeting time. Can you do Tuesday at 2? No, I can't. Well, how about 1:30? Great. Before I hang up the call, before the avatar says goodbye, I've got an Outlook meeting in my inbox from that avatar. So like I said, really interesting. I'm pretty fascinated about it. It's how we think we might be able to use AI in a really powerful way. Okay, that's our presentation. Believe it or not, we've been through 28 ideas. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, either now or later. Let me hit a question or two that are coming in. How is a 2% rule impacted by industries with long acquisition cycles like military and aerospace? Well, that's a different metric. So the 2% rule still applies. That's really a great question. So we work with clients that have short sales cycles and clients that have long sales cycles that are 18 to 24 months, right? The 2% rule is just measuring how many people fill out a lead form, contact us, RFQ, webinar registration form, white paper download form, something like that, CAD file form, something like that. That never changes based on the length of time that the sales cycle is. So if 1,000 people are coming to your site a month, I want 2% of those people every single month to convert into a name for me. So that really stays the same. I do have a couple other questions coming in.
That's the only one so far.
Okay, I thought I saw a couple on chat. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate everybody joining us. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you see my contact information and the phone number there. And everybody have a great 2025 and hit those KPIs hard.